Hey friends, I want to lead you through a short restorative that you can fit into your day. Maybe it's a late night practice. Often I'm with my kids all day and the time I get to practice is late at night. And it's a short, twisty practice for the health of your spine, for your legs, for your mind, for your whole system. For today's practice, I am going to show some variations with a strap. And if you have a strap, I'm going to ask you to loop it as long as you can to start. Usually with a strap, you can have a strap that you can self-lock and adjust the length of your loop. If you don't have something like this, you might want to tie two pairs of stretchy pants together. I tried with that and it worked. So you can pause the video and go and get something like that in a loop and have it beside you. I'm going to show the practice today. If you have a block and you like that for twists, go ahead and grab your block. And I'm going to start in a seat with a 5, 4, 2, 1 practice. So this practice I learned from a mindfulness teacher and friend named Sarah Kinsley. And it's a way to bring us into presence right here, right now, using our senses. So you can get comfortable in a seat and you can start with the sense of your eyes, if you can see. So you can look around your space wherever you are and begin by taking note of 5 things. You can count them inside. You can even say them out loud. 5 things that you see and you might explore. Instead of looking at things that bother you, like the dirt on the floor, hairs, dust, smudgy windows, whatever it is, I've got to clean that under the couch. See if you can look at things that are pleasurable to look at, that draw you in, and give you a sense of, everything's okay. So you might be at 3 or 4 or 5 by now. Sometimes I like to look outside and connect to the natural world if you have a window. Something green, something growing. It's spring here. Curious. Perhaps there's objects in your space that comfort you. All right, let's move to number 4. So 4 is our sense of touch. So what can you feel right now? You might even close your eyes for this and sense. I'm sensing the softness of my bamboo clothing on my skin. It feels soft to touch. Maybe you're feeling interface with the air, the sensations in your hands. Perhaps you're feeling your own breath or your heartbeat. So connecting in 4 things. Perhaps you're ready to move to 3. And 3 is your sense of hearing. So 3 things that you hear. It's spring here, as I said, and I'm hearing the birds outside. I'm also hearing my heater. So you can notice they might be sounds in the room, might be sounds outside of the room. And getting curious, maybe there's something that you haven't heard in your space before. Moving to 2, so your sense of smell. What do you smell right now? Sometimes it can be challenging to smell anything depending on congestion or where you're at with your health. And you might bring to mind 2 things that you like to smell. Maybe it's like fresh baked bread or the smell of the soil after the rain. The smell of sun on your skin. The smell of a baby's head. Whatever it is, or you might be smelling something. Moving to 1, so it's your sense of taste. And this practice has been inspired by my dear friend Dana, and she offers, if you can't taste anything right now, I'm tasting my lingering cup of tea. But if you're not, you might think of one thing that you're grateful for. And maybe a whole bunch of things come in. Or maybe you're really sitting with that. What's one thing that you're grateful for right now? Okay. So as you're ready, notice if you feel any different, any signs of settling in your body, any signs of feeling more connected. And we'll roll on down for our short practice. So we're going to have our strap nearby. You might want to put something underneath your head. And let's draw our right ankle on top of our left knee in that figure four position. Bring that whole figure four into us. Take your left hand on top of your right ankle and let that whole unit fall over to the left. So it could float there. You could take something underneath it like a block, or maybe your foot comes to the floor and your right hand can cup behind your head. And I'm grabbing the base of my skull here and I'm going to give myself a massage. I always have messy hair, so you can really drop into that, mess up your hair, who cares? Go for self-love instead of having great hair, and you can rub into the back of your skull. Maybe squish up those muscles around your cervical spine. Massage the occipital area and roll your fingers into that area, maybe into the back of your ears. And then we'll take a breath in, maybe an abdominal breath, and a breath out. We'll bring that unit all the way back to center. Now we're going to unhook our right foot and pick up our hips and move them to the right. So it's just your hips, you move to the right. You might take a block in between your knees here as you bring your knees in and let your knees fall to the left. So spinal twist. You can also pick up your head, shift your head, a little lateral shift of your head over to the left, and then let your right temple come down. And see if you get a little more space in there to look over your right shoulder. You can always look up or even towards your knees. An option here is to kind of flick your feet up into the air and lower them back down. And you can do that a couple times, noticing what happens to your right side. Feet up into the air and lower them back down. Up and down. Okay, then we're going to take the block out if you have it. Bring your knees one at a time back center. Hips in the middle, left ankle on top of right knee. Bring that whole unit in. Hold on to your left ankle with your right hand. And you can hook the back of your skull with your left hand and give yourself a massage in there. Muscles at the base of the neck, check in for tone and tension. The knobby bits at the back of your skull, that occipital area. Into the space behind your ear. I think that's the mastoid. And give yourself a massage, and then your breath in. And out. So unhook your left foot, bring it back center. We're gonna go hips to the left, that little shift, knees in. You can take your block between your knees, knees to the right. And then you can pick up your head and just like those old school typewriter carriages, slide your head to the left. It's neat to check out your mobility in there, and then let your head roll to the left. Or slide your head to the right rather, and let your head roll to the left, yeah. And you don't need to look over towards your left, you can look forwards or up. And then if you like, flick your feet up a bit and lower them down, and just notice what happens in that left side. Flick up and lower and up and lower. Okay, we'll let the block out, come all the way back center. And our last thing here is to hook our loop, or maybe you've got stretchy pairs of pants looped up around your right foot. Now you can bend and straighten your right leg, go towards straight, maybe even tighten your kneecap. You can do that a couple times. Yeah. And then I'm going to invite you, of course you don't have to do this, you can loop your hands around the strap and be in this hamstring stretch. Or if you want, you can take your strap, hook it behind the back of your head, and relax your head into that. So this is really dependent on leg length, strap length. For some of you with long legs, you'll have to have a long strap. You could also try taking that strap underneath the backs of your shoulders, right? And holding it there. So whichever one you're doing, your arms would be free. And of course, if the strap length doesn't work for you, you might be holding onto the strap there. You can lengthen out through your left leg. If you have your head in the strap, instead of holding your head neck at all, see if you can hold your head with your foot and leg moving away from you. For some of you, you might have a little bit of a bent leg here. And you could explore little side to side movement. Sometimes because I have free hands here, I could have this opportunity to take my right thumb in my right hip crease and really pull it down. Option two, if you have space around you, I usually have all sorts of props around me. You can snow angel your arms a little bit up and down. And you can snow angel them with your arms hovering, like hovering above the floor. And that's getting into that little bit of strength in our movement, so that little bit of strength around the shoulder joint. Or you can let your hands really drop to the floor like a true snow angel. All right, one more option here is to unhook this and take your hands together and put your elbows into the strap. And you can always shorten the loop so you have more stretch through your leg. So you could put your elbows in and then have your hands together and aim that over your head. And maybe you aim it right over your head so your arms are straight. You could even tuck your chin and let the back of your head come onto the strap and explore having your arms up over your head. Okay, whichever variation you're in, we'll unhook from that. Let the right knee come into the chest, your chest, and let's do a couple circles with the knee. And I'm exploring like hooking my knee with my hand and really softening as much as I can into the right hip joint. Getting a little bit more maybe of a buttery sensation in there. Almost like another self-massage. Okay, right foot can come down, left foot can come in. So if all this doesn't work for your dimensions, you can hook and explore your hamstring stretch. Lengthen out your right leg. And you can bend and straighten, tighten the kneecap. And you don't need to move towards straight, but you might be exploring that. You can hook your head around the strap if that variation works for you. So your arms are free, or you can for sure take the strap behind your back as another option. Can you move your leg, if you're in this variation, away from you to really hold and cradle your head? And maybe there's some little side to side movements that are driven by your leg instead of your head. You could also stretch out your right leg. And if you're holding on to the strap, the little side-to-side movements might be delightful. You can explore those. And if your hand is free, maybe that thumb goes into the hip crease and encourages downward movement there. Lengthening out the left side of your low back. Maybe you've got some snow angel play in there. Both that mobility exploration in your shoulders, if you're doing that with the hands hovering a little bit, so there's that little bit of tension around your shoulder joint, or maybe that the hands are tracing the ground. And I'm bending one of my elbows because I've got something in the way there, but you might explore straight arms and bent arms. All right, one more option is to take those elbows in and around the strap and aim your hands together over your head. And always welcome to do those side to side movements. Maybe you're really lengthening your arms up over your head and tucking your chin and letting the strap come a little more behind the top of the back of your head. And we'll unhook from that. And I'm going to take the strap over to the side, bend left knee, cup it with the left hand, and circle in there. Doing my best to really hold my leg, let it know it's safe to let go. In and around my hip, any amount. And if there's some protection there, some days are different than others. I often try to thank my body for the protection it's giving me. Sometimes acknowledgement can go a long way as a first step to finding if there's any possibility of letting go some of that tension. Okay, lastly, let's take both our knees and both our hands, cup hold firmly with your hands and circle. Could be little circles or bigger ones. Is it possible to, instead of driving this movement from your hips, to really hug your knees and drive it from your hands? Maybe letting your legs be a little more receptive, your hips a little more receptive to the movement coming from that circle of your hands, your knees. And we'll let that go. And any little last movements, you could do those lumbar rocks that Lindsay offers us, letting the knees go side to side. Keeping your low ribs a little close to the ground. And either coming into a seat, or maybe you want to rest in constructive rest here, your hands wherever's comfortable. Throw a blanket over outstretch your legs. And settle into a place where you can linger for a few moments if you choose. Know that if you don't feel settled, you can always shift your position. And I'll invite you to come back to one of each sense. Let's go back, instead of 5, let's just go one time, look around your space, let your eyes settle on something maybe that you've never seen before, or that's pleasant to look at. Feel, what's one thing that you can feel that might support you to feel more connected or spacious or free? One thing that you hear. Is there any delight in hearing any sounds in your space? One thing that you might smell, or recalling a smell that gives you comfort, connection. What's one thing that you might taste, maybe swallow, recall a taste, or one thing that you're grateful for? And you might take a breath in and exhale everything. You might thank yourself for taking the time to make choices that support you. you might come back to that question of what is sustainability for you? And if you're not quite sure, something I'm reminded of is that it's okay to not know the answer, to hold the question. And my friend Sarah Kay again reminded me of a beautiful Zen koan that ends with the words, "Not knowing is the most intimate." You're so welcome to stay here for as long as you like, as long as you have time for. I'm so grateful for your time and energy, presence and engagement. May you have peace. May we have peace.